If you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, along with the bell icon so you can be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you're already subscribed, check and make sure that YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. This channel is under a shadow ban by YouTube, so be sure to give the video a like, as well as share it on your social media. The white supremacists hate that. Now, that said, look, it's real simple. If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. When it comes to black empowerment, talk ain't just cheap, it is worthless. Especially when it comes from people who have spent their entire adult lives attacking black folks from behind a political office. Understand something. We're more than 2 weeks into the Biden administration, and black people, who are the ones who put Biden in the White House and gave him control of the Senate, we are still waiting for a policy, any policy specific to us from this administration. We're still waiting for them to make an announcement of what they're going to do specifically for black people. Oh, they've had specific policies and we spelled them out for you. We showed them to you specifically for immigrants, Asians, women, which means white women. When they say women, they ain't talking about black women. They mean white women. Look at Biden's press secretary. Better yet, look at the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, if you want proof of that. They also have policies specifically for LGBTs, environmentalists. But for black folks, you know, the ones who didn't really do much for Biden other than give him the presidency and control of the Senate so that he would have unfettered control of government policy. Well, when it comes to black folks, nothing. When it comes time to talk about tangibles, Biden and Harris have no problem telling all these other groups how much they're going to get. Ain't no runaround, ain't no rigmarole, ain't no let me talk around the issue. These other groups, they tell them exactly how much they're going to get. Black folks, on the other hand, all they tell us is how much they care. They tell us that, oh, we understand your condition is quite severe. Well, they ought to know they're the ones responsible for it. Oh, we understand that America can't rise unless black people rise, and yet for some damn reason, whenever they get in front of white audiences, it's all about how great America is and how you guys built the country and how America's got to make sure your position stays straight. They don't tell those white audiences, you know what? You guys can't be straight unless black people are straight. They don't go in front of other audiences and tell them that. They don't go in front of white people and tell them that. They don't tell white audiences, hey, unless black people are doing good, you ain't doing good. Unless black people are getting a piece of the rock, what the hell are you doing getting one? They don't talk like that with other groups. They don't tell white folks, you've got to learn how to work with black people. Biden would never go in front of a white audience and tell them that. He would never go in front of a Jewish audience and tell them, you've got to learn how to work with black people. He wouldn't go in front of a Hispanic audience and tell them, you got to learn how to work with black people, but he'll tell black people that. Which brings us to this week's Nothing Burger. Harris and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen had a so-called virtual meeting with the Black Chamber of Commerce. Be still my beating heart. Oh, it's the moment that we've been waiting for. We've just been sitting on pins and needles, eagerly awaiting the moment when they would announce that they were finally going to talk with the Black Chamber of Commerce, because we all know how important and crucial and pivotal the Black Chamber of Commerce have been in promoting black empowerment, right? I mean, hell, the black media certainly could never have gotten started, much less have made it this far without the Black Chamber of Commerce. I mean, these guys, they've just been the engine behind the black grassroots, right? Right? By the way, I think it just bears noting it's been about 19 days since Jim Crow Joe and Kamala Harris took power. And have they met with Ice Cube yet? I mean, they got time to meet virtually with the Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm just curious if they ever got around to having that sit down with Ice Cube yet. Just counting the days, you know. That little get-together's coming any moment now, I'm sure. But what about the Black Chamber of Commerce? What's their track record on black empowerment? Anybody know? Or have these guys been MIA? So when you look at what it is that Harris and Yellen were talking about, basically what they were saying was, we're putting forward a rescue plan. It's going to be America's rescue plan, but you know, the boat might have a couple of niggers in it. So that being the case, see, this is a plan for you. This is a plan for you. That's that psychobabble bull crap. And there's going to be some black folks who are desperate to get some crumbs from the table. So they'll just play along with the lie, even though they know it's completely and thoroughly false. All that they were offering during their little absolute waste of time that they called a virtual conference, all they were doing was lip service about PPP, which means the Paycheck Protection Program, and that's supposed to be loans to businesses to help them meet payroll during the pandemic. Of course, black businesses were unable to navigate the application process. Oh, Biden and Yellen had no problem saying that because they couldn't deny it. And as a result, what they said was, what we are proposing is we want to have a team of trained navigators to help PPP applicants. Really, they weren't singling black folks out and saying black people in particular need to be able to get access to this. In fact, we might want to go ahead and set aside some money specifically for black businesses. That never came up. That was never suggested. Nobody ever decided to offer that as a possible proposal. You know, if black people in particular have had a really rough time being able to access these PPP funds, and if it's been so deleterious to the black community and black businesses clearly, then it seems common sense that there ought to be loans specifically for black businesses, right? I mean, if black businesses were the main ones who were unable to get access to the money, it would seem common sense that what this calls for are loans specifically for black businesses. But of course, as Kamala Harris has said, she won't do anything that's only going to benefit black people. No! That's Kamala Harris. And you notice that they didn't have Biden there with her. So what does that tell you? Biden's like, well, I'm not putting my name anywhere near this. You know, Kamala, you can go ahead and talk with these darkies if you want to, but just let them know, nothing's etched in stone here. You know, we're just going to have a little conversation, and we can go ahead and spitball some ideas, but I'll be damned if any of this is actually going to become policy. That's what Biden's doing. He's keeping this all at arm's length. And the Black Chamber of Commerce, of course, their president, some clown who I never heard of before, this goofball, he clearly came down with the last drop of rain. He had the nerve to actually say that he was hopeful that there's going to be accountability between the Biden administration and black Americans, because black folks were the ones who put Biden in the White House. Now, you think about that. Here this guy is at this late date talking about, I'm hoping that there's going to be accountability. Now, there's three problems with this particular brain fart. First of all, you haven't defined what accountability means so that we would understand what it's going to be and when it needs to be put into action, when we should implement it. Second of all, hope is not a strategy. And thirdly, and most importantly, the black media, the black grassroots, were telling black people to hold Biden and Harris accountable for years now. After their decades of anti-black racism, we were supposed to already be putting some pain on them. You see, once you vote for Biden and Harris, you're no longer in a position to hold them accountable for anything. Time to hold them accountable is before the election, not after. But you got Ron Busby and the Black Chamber of Commerce. I mean, this is just the epitome. This is just the definition of hustling backwards. You've given Biden the White House. You've given him total power. You've given him 4 years. You gave him the freaking Congress and the House of Representatives and the Senate. So there's no way in hell that you have the ability to lean on him. You've given the guy everything that he wants. Now you're going, we need to talk to you about accountability. You're not dealing from a position of strength. You're not coming to this guy as his boss. You're coming up to him like a servant saying, Massa, is you gonna do right by us? And this is supposed to be the Black Chamber of Commerce. See, this is what qualifies as your black business class, by the way, acting like a bunch of freaking galley slaves. This is supposed to be our best and brightest in the business world, right? And the best they can come up with. Well, we're going to sure hope that Biden is accountable. Black folks did right by him, and we're hoping for accountability. Do you notice that there is no or else behind this Busby character's words? I told you that no demand can be taken seriously unless the person making that demand also has a substantive or else behind it. See, that's the reason why white supremacy always makes sure that it supports the police. It has no choice but to. How else can you have a national, if not global policy of I'm white and I say so, unless there is an or else behind what white supremacy says? Every unjust and unconstitutional law, every unjust and unconstitutional court ruling, every single illegal and illicit dictate the white supremacy has implemented. And yet, why is it that nobody comes at them head on? Because white supremacy has made it very clear. There is a substantive and certain or else behind every single one of their illegal and immoral acts. There is an or else behind it. So, did Mr. Ron Busby or any of the other of the black folks on that video wall of his, did they ever tell Kamala Harris and Janet Yellen what the or else is going to be? If you guys don't come up with tangibles quick, fast, and in a hurry for us, here's what the or else will be. Did they ever do that? What is the Black Chamber of Commerce prepared to do if Biden and Harris remain true to form and do what they've done for, in the case of Biden, the last 50 years, and in the case of Kamala Harris, the last 30 years? If these clowns continue to do what they've always done, screw black people over, what is the Black Chamber of Commerce's or else going to be? What is Ron Busby's or else going to be? What will the Black Chamber of Commerce do about it? They're supposed to be business people after all, or so I was told, right? So how do they intend to weaponize their money in order to punish Biden, Harris, and Yellen if they do what we all know they're going to do? And that is lie to us and leave black folks out in the cold. What's the Black Chamber of Commerce going to do? See, this is the problem with black businesses. Black businesses are acting more like little side hustles, and they're not acting like they want to be bosses. Because if you're a boss, then you also make it clear to others you are not to be trifled with. You make it clear to others, I can exercise power over these white politicians. At least that's what happens if you're a boss. You pride yourself on what I say goes. And if I'm meeting with you, it's not going to be me on my hands and knees begging, please, Kamala Harris, pretty please. No, it's going to be me dictating the orders. It's going to be you just nodding your head and saying, yes, sir. That's the way this goes. You see, this is what's wrong with the black business class. It's mostly a gang of consultants and contract players who are desperately dependent upon white corporations to be their benefactors. If you were to do a head count of the black business people who Harris and Yellen were talking to, you would find that they were largely a bunch of consultants and paycheck players. Like Dr. Claude Anderson told you, this is supposed to be what qualifies as a black business class. These are not independent power brokers at all. This is just the same old who's who of black consultants and suck-ups and flunkies and hangers-on and a bunch of useless dependents of white power. These are Negroes who are hoping to get a government contract, or if they can finagle it, a government job. And this is who Kamala Harris and Janet Yellen were talking to. And we're supposed to believe that, they're talking to the black community. No, please, give me a break. And PR stunts like this are not spontaneous. They are meticulously planned out. Remember Joe Biden's now infamous Zoom call where he chastised those civil rights retreads who were on the call with him, and he talked to them like a bunch of field hands? Well, there's a reason why not one of those spineless morons said a word in their own defense or rebuked Joe Biden afterwards. It's because Biden chose them to be there. They were chosen, each one of them was chosen for a reason, because they are all card-carrying bootlicks. They have their staged video conferences where they have their staged, bought and paid for, cherry-picked audience. Yes, boss, just nodding their heads in agreement. Suck-ups and flunkies who they've already vetted to make sure that none of them are going to go off script. This is a typical tactic under white supremacist politics. They make sure that their audiences are filled with a bunch of supporters and hangers-on, and they tell you, we've put together a cross-section of America, a whole bunch of people who they know damn well ain't going to ask no tough questions because these are all their friends and buddies. I told you about this particular technique of political propaganda in my now classic video essay, Why Roger Ailes Isn't Going Away. Back in the 60s, Roger Ailes would have then candidate Richard Nixon have a town hall, but the town hall would be filled with a bunch of Republican operatives and members from the local RNC committees. And Richard Nixon would pretend as if, I'm here with a bunch of spontaneously gathered people off the streets from this fine American town. And you guys all love Richard, right? Yes, everybody loves Richard Nixon. You're going to vote for me, right? Yes, we're going to vote for you. We love you. And then he says, see, America loves Richard Nixon. I'm winning them over with my irresistible charm. That's what's going on here. You're putting on a show. Hell, Barack Obama got called out because not really called out, but he did get caught out because during his proposal, the phase of the Obamacare plan, he had one guy in particular who worked for the healthcare industry. So this fool didn't say it, of course. This guy was identified later, but Obama had his audiences filled with a bunch of individuals who in many cases were lobbyists or otherwise spokespeople for the medical industry. But they don't say that to you. And they want you to think that these people were just spontaneously gathered. They were not. And by the way, Kamala Harris is not the only person here who needs to have the finger pointed at him. Janet Yellen, she was made chairwoman of the Federal Reserve under Obama, and she continued to hold that position under Trump until 2018 when she stepped down. Or, did she jump or wait to get pushed? Who cares? Point is, now she's the Treasury Secretary. Though I do need to ask, at what point did Janet Yellen ever do a damn thing for black people? Can anyone think of any time when Janet Yellen has done anything for black people? I mean, when she was head of the Fed, was she out there all hot and bothered to make sure that black people were taken care of? Has she ever mentioned black people in any shape, form, or fashion before now? Was she on a crusade to help black folks before now? And yet all of a sudden you hear her talking today. She's suddenly woken up and, the black people are getting screwed over. Yeah, you don't say. Janet Yellen indeed. This was a phony media stunt because they see what's happening with the black grassroots. We're not letting this go. And they understand that simply ignoring black people's concerns, we're going to point this out and keep a daily count and keep reminding black folks, hey, all of you black suck-ups and bootlicks, the Jonathan Capeharts and the Charles Blows and the Orca Winfreys and the rest of the fakers, frauds, phonies, fools, sellouts, suck-ups and simps. Your girl Kamala over here is pretending like she's going to do something for black folks. Biden ain't said a damn word about what he's going to do for black people. Come get your boy. We're not going to let anyone forget. These guys, they made us no promises, and yet black people are expecting them to do something anyway. We're not going to let them forget. You voted for Biden because you thought he was going to do something because you're like, well, he knows what he's supposed to do. Yeah, he does know, but he never made a promise. He never required one. And what they think they're going to do is they're going to talk around the issue. They're going to dance up to the line. They're going to make some empty gestures, and that's supposed to placate and pacify us. It will not. These pathetic bits of political theater are meant to give Biden and Harris the ability to say, we hear you. See, I've done more for black people than anyone you know. Well, you've done more to black people than anyone I know. That's for sure, Biden. He's definitely done more to black people than anyone I can think of. But now they'll be able to pull the Obama playbook and say, we have had some virtual meetings. We talked with Al Sharpton and some other civil rights retreads and professional do-nothings. And now we've gotten together with a bunch of aspiring government contractors. I mean, the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. And we want them to know, we want you to know we hear you. When you talk about how poor you are and how much we've impoverished you and how much we locked you guys up and how mass incarceration has devastated the black economy, we want you to know we hear you. After all the harm we've done to you, we hear you. They're going to listen us to death. That's what, you ever heard talking someone to death? Well, this is going to be listening us to death. That's what they're going to be doing. Oh, go ahead and tell us how much we screwed you guys over, and we will nod sympathetically, and we will pretend as if we give a damn. What's called for here is not for the Biden administration to listen. They already know what we want. What is called for here is for them to obey and to stop trying to float these clearly insincere distractions and deflections and trick bags and these cans of worms that they keep trying to float our way, these trial balloons to see if they can get us off point. That time for that's behind us. What's called for here is for them to stop all of these stalling tactics and would-be diversions and to do what we told them to do. Politics, correctly conducted, is not a dialogue between the voters and the politicians. You're the ones who put these scumbags in office. You're supposed to be their boss. What's supposed to be happening here is a one-way monologue with them shutting up and listening and you spelling out what the policy is going to be. The only thing they have to say is, absolutely, we will do what you tell us. These virtual meetings that Biden and Harris keep pulling, it's them keeping black people at arm's length. That's what this is meant for. Joe Biden couldn't even be bothered to make an appearance, not even by video phone. He couldn't be bothered to make an appearance on Zoom or Skype or whatever. So what that tells you is he's sending the vice president, somebody who doesn't actually make policy, somebody who is not going to actually be signing her name to any legislation, but here's who you can talk with. You can also have this shriveled up old woman here, Janet Yellen. You can go ahead and tell her your woes as well. Say, does anyone remember all of those great proposals that Janet Yellen made to improve the economic position of black people when she was chairwoman of the Fed? Remember all those proposals and trial balloons that she was giving out back then? Me neither. Hey, say, since she left the Fed in 2018, does anyone recall her saying a word about black people once she had left the government for a couple of years? Anyone remember that? Yeah, I don't remember either. So we are supposed to believe that 3 career bureaucrats, 2 of whom have spent their entire adult lives, a combined 80 years attacking black people, are now going to help us when they have absolutely no track record of doing so. They got long track records of harming black people, but absolutely no track record of whatsoever of helping black people. And we're supposed to believe that now all of a sudden they've discovered religion based on what? When has Janet Yellen said that she had some awesome heretofore undisclosed plan to help black people? Oh, if only she had been Treasury Secretary. Oh, wait. Whose interest are Biden and Harris operating in? All you have to do is look at their so-called economic team, and you look at who it's comprised of, and they're showing you exactly who it is that they're interested in serving the interest of. Janet Yellen, a white woman. Neera Tanden, she's an Asian. Wally Adeyemo. Okay, I think it's safe to say that this guy's ancestry doesn't go back to the killing fields of the American South. I can only wonder what part of Nigeria his folks are from. Cecilia Rouse, okay, we got our biracial there. Jared Burstein, a white male, and of course we got another white woman. So, what we have happened to be 4 women, none of them black, only one of them who maybe she'll call herself black, with a question mark, but this is what they're interested in. Immigrants, non-black people. This is supposed to be their economic team. Now, what the hell does this have in common with those of us who built this country? If you're a foundational black American or a descendant of American slaves or what have you, what does Mr. Adeyemo know about that? What does Miss Rouse know about that? What does Janet Yellen know about that? But this is Biden's economic team. These are the people who are going to be making economic decisions that are in our best interest, the best interest of black folks. This is who all these ideas are going to be run by. This is who's going to be formulating them. A bunch of immigrants, a bunch of white people and Asians. So at what point do the black folks who built this country come into play? Answer, under these guys, we don't. Deck's already stacked against us, and that's by design. Again, all you black folks who were so proud, wow, we voted for Biden. Yeah, this is what you voted for. Oh, he's going to be having his team going to look like America. So America looks like black immigrants from Nigeria, and it looks like Asians, and it looks like white women. That's what America looks like. Because this is what the world they've put together. It's not a matter of who's on the team. It's a matter of who they deliberately, systematically, and strategically have left out. That's what's important here. Who they make sure isn't going to be represented. That's the point. Give me a break. These PR stunts, they're meant to give the Biden administration something that they can say. They're manufacturing talking points for them so that you can't say we haven't talked to you. You can't say that we're totally ignoring you. See? And that's what the Bootlicks are going to do. They're going to say, see, they ain't just totally ignoring black peoples. Not no more, they ain't. In fact, they had a video conference with a whole bunch of us. That's what the Bootlicks are going to say because that's what they're supposed to say. And Biden and Harris are going to point and say, see, we have given ourselves cover. We have made some important strides in hearing black people out and fielding their very real concerns. And we want you to know that this will definitely be in our minds and our thoughts when it comes time to foreign policy. That's what it's meant to do, to manufacture a defense for them. That's all this is meant to do. And only the simple-minded or the willingly gullible will actually fall for this con game. When you demand to see action, not words, you don't fall for feeble stunts like this. Only about two things are going to come out of this empty exercise, this pathetic exercise in trying to manufacture credibility for themselves. I told you how this will most likely end, where this will ultimately wind up. Don't be surprised when somewhere down the line, way down the line, about time for re-election, I would guess, Biden and Harris, or most likely Biden, Harris, and Yellen all together are going to have some phony baloney press conference where they say, everybody gather around, bring the media in. We got something to say. We want everybody to hear this. They're going to have probably some sort of hullabaloo, probably at a black church for all we know. They'll make sure that it's a matter of, we want black folks to know this policy. We want you guys to actually think this has something to do with you. And they'll hold some press conference where they say, we're going to finally address the racial wealth gap, and they're going to put forward the lie. They're going to present their plan as if, this is specifically tangibles. This is going to be tangibles, and black folks are going to be getting a piece of this action too. And of course, it's going to be for everyone else, but they're going to claim that if a few black people are eligible to apply for it, the same way that black folks were eligible to apply for those PPP applications. Oh, you need some payroll protection loans and such? Well, you're eligible to apply. That is, if you can actually navigate the application process. And they will say that this is a plan for black people. And of course, they'll have some Negro flunkies, no doubt some of the alumni from the Black Chamber of Commerce. They'll be out there standing with Harris, Biden, and Yellen, and they'll be nodding their empty heads and amening their every word. We all know it's coming. Just like Cedric Richmond. They'll gladly make fools of themselves lying for their would-be paymasters in the White House and trying to shout us down and say, see, y'all said they wasn't going to do nothing. Well, they's doing something now, so y'all's just wrongs. Some of those Negro flunkies will do what they've always done. When this day comes, and I think it will, they're going to claim, see, black folks don't need reparations because Biden, Harris, and Yellen's empty do-nothing proposal, that is reparations. Hey, you remember how we had all of those Democrat sock puppet accounts trolling us all during the primaries and the campaign, telling us exactly that? Why y'all talking about reparations? Why, anything the Democrats propose, that's reparations. Democrats say that they gonna give black folks a hug. That's reparations right there. If they pass universal health cares, that's reparations right there. If there's going to be more welfare and food stamps, why, yeah, it's something that everybody's eligible for, but that's reparations. It's not that they don't know what the definition of reparations is, it's that these clowns are usually on the take. These are usually sock puppets for the Democrats trying to tell us, y'all need to change y'all definition of reparations. Well, we're not changing a damn thing. That's what they found. We're not changing anything. In fact, changing our message, that's the very antithesis of the black media. For over a decade, almost a decade and a half now, I've been telling you that the mission of the black media is to take control of the political discourse in the black community. Our goal is to take control of it. Is damn sure not to water down the message and amalgamate it so we can make it more acceptable to the very forces of white supremacy and the very black bootlicks who have been standing in our way. That ain't the business. These bootlicks in the media and online who were so vocal the last 18 months, they've fallen silent, haven't they? Can't find them right now, can you? Oh, but as soon as white power needs them to come running interference, these clowns will suddenly remember where they lost their keyboards at, and they'll remember their internet connections, and they'll be back online cheering on whatever empty scam Biden and Harris start pushing. and trying to tell us whatever y'all say y'all want tangibles. Well, a pat on the back, that is tangibles. Y'all say y'all want reparations. Well, applying for some government program that you're going to get turned down for, assuming you can make it through the application process. Why? That is reparations. That's the scam they're going to pull. Anything that the Democrats propose, that's reparations. Anything they do, no matter how empty, no matter how worthless, no matter how insincere, that's reparations. Oh, you don't need money. In fact, they'll tell you money. Y'all don't need no money. Black folks don't need money. What we need is social acceptance. It's going to be the segregation, integration ploy all over again. And they've already tried this before. Jonathan putting on his cape heart, writing for the Washington Compost with that stupid, asinine little op-ed of his. Black folks don't want reparations. What they really want is an apology. And of course, we know with the whole reparations committee sham that took place with Ta-Nehisi Chokes and the rest of those fakers, frauds, phonies, and fools, not a one of them talking about a check. All of them talking about everything except for a check. Oh, we need to talk about how black people are treated. No, we need to talk about the fact that black folks got to get paid. That's where the problem is. Oh, but let's talk about everything except for that. See, none of the Black Chamber of Commerce asks any tough questions. Just like on Biden's Zoom call, those civil rights retreads were not about to hold Biden's feet to the fire or tell him, hey, we put you in the White House and we can take you out of there. We can get you out that White House in 4 years. In fact, we can make sure that the Republicans get control of the Congress back in 2 years. So you got 24 months and 24 months only. Man, I pull a full Alonzo Harris on his behind. Denzel Washington in Training Day, remember that? You got today and today only to show me that I didn't make a mistake putting you in the White House. And if you don't, then we're going to send your behind right back to Delaware and we'll send Kamala Harris back under down low Willie Brown's desk. That's what's going to happen if you do not do what we tell you to do. You're supposed to be in there like the freaking Godfather, spelling out terms. But of course, that's not the reason why Biden got his little bunch of black bootlicks together. He got them together particularly to put on a show. And it is the black folks are too scared to challenge Biden because they know that Biden's right. They know that he's the only shot you got. This is the best you can do. So you better just take this abuse. This is teaching black folks to take abuse silently and meekly and subserviently. And these are supposed to be black leaders. Yeah, black leaders who don't lead anyone. Black leaders who do not stand up to the forces of antagonism against us. Asians got a specific policy promise. But the Black Chamber of Commerce is not saying, hey, we want the exact same treatment you've given all these other groups. You know, the ones who didn't put you in the White House. Asians were not the ones who put Biden in the White House. The black vote did. There are not enough Asian votes in Georgia or Michigan or Pennsylvania to flip those states. Every Asian in those states could have and most likely did vote Republican. And you see, their vote was not what put Biden in the White House. Damn sure didn't give Biden control of the Senate. Black votes did that. Biden, however, didn't say that, well, we got to lump Asians in with everyone else. You know, everybody's got the same concerns. And yeah. Asian business has been hit hard during the pandemic and the economic slowdown. But you know what? Asians' concerns are no more pressing than anyone else. Everybody's going through the same thing. We're all in the same boat. And that being the case, nobody is a special case here. Everybody is the same and has to be dealt with the same. Nobody has any particular problem that's more pressing or more important than anyone else. That's not what he told Asians. He told them exactly the opposite. Your problems are unique. Your problems are different. You've got particular interests and particular issues, and we need to speak to those specifically and particularly. That's what he told the Asians. Black folks, on the other hand, we got to get back to you. We got to lump you in with everybody else. And the same bootlicks who had nothing to say about this double standard, they will also not address it when Biden and Harris call them out of hiding to run interference for them. Mark my words, you will be seeing them again. The black bootlicks are laying low, but as we put pressure on the Dems, as we make it very clear, our tangibles ain't going away. And all of those oblique, phony, non-committal answers that you gave, well, we're going to make it clear to black folks, hey, they basically said they was going to do it. Now, we know that they didn't say. We know that they actually said the opposite. But the point is, we're going to tell black folks, hey, you were expecting tangible money in your pocket. You were expecting something in your hand that you can actually put in your bank account if you supported these guys. And what did you get? You got nothing. What you were told was, well, there's going to be a policy for everybody and black folks might get a couple of crumbs, but that's it. We're making it where people can't forget, and we won't let them forget. The Democrats will be forced to do some sort of meaningless pro forma gesture and pretend as if it's the Second Emancipation Proclamation. And of course, the white media, they will play along with it as if it is. Expect to see them play their part. The left-wing white media, they'll proclaim that whatever the Democrats' proposal is, why, it's the most meaningful policy proposal since Obamacare. That black people have finally been made part of the economy. Oh, an issue that has festered since America's original sin, since 1865, is finally being addressed. And the white right-wing media, they'll do their part and they'll pretend to be offended, and we'll see the predictable orgy of phony outrage as the white right media claims, oh, it's the end of the country. Look, they're giving these niggers everything. And they'll do their part and play that game. Black folks aren't getting anything, but they'll just, both the left wing and right wing media will pretend as if we have, when both sides know damn well we haven't. Both sides of the white media will play their part. One side to try to con us into thinking we actually got something, and the other side to keep the dominant society angry at us over a so-called policy that doesn't benefit us anyway. That's the end game that I see coming out of all of this. So these little video chats that Biden and Harris keep doing, they're more than just kicking the can down the road. Sure, they're trying to buy themselves some time and keep us placated, and they're going to waste some time chatterboxing us to death. But there's more going on here. What they think they're doing is ultimately they're laying the groundwork for burying the issue of the racial wealth gap. And they're going to have some do-nothing press conference where they claim, finally, we're dealing with it. Finally, we're tackling it head on. This problem has festered for too long, and dang it, we're dealing with it. That's what Biden and Harris will say, and they're going to have some Negroes, some black flunkies standing behind them to cheer them on. Always got to have your peanut gallery of suck-ups. And they're going to be coming to us telling us, see, they did something for us. By the way, you notice that that's all Biden and Harris are doing. But they're just having these little conference calls. They're not actually going to the black community. They're like, no, we got to keep y'all at arm's length. We got to have our hand-picked coterie of suck-ups and fools. Oh, no, we're not going to be preaching this gospel to every black person who would listen, because the problem is the more we talk, the worse it gets. Oh, my God, they're paying attention and they're dissecting what we say. Damn right we are. We are the black media. That's what we do. Because the dirty little secret that most people are not thinking about is Biden, I think, was secretly hoping that the Democrats would fail to get the Senate. Oh, as president, he would still make sure that his white benefactors, you know, the donor class that he truly answers to, he would make sure that they get taken care of. The white elite will always get what they want because both political parties are nothing more than sock puppets of the white elite. That's the real political party. There's only one political party in this country, and that's the white elite. So when it comes to giving them what they want, both political parties always seem able to put their partisanship aside. They pretend as if, oh, there was a long, hard-fought battle, and the Democrats sit there and put up a phony play acting like, oh, we tried, but we got steamrolled by the Republicans. And notice how it never goes the other way. They never actually do anything tangible for black people. And you never have a situation where the Republicans are like, oh, we failed to stop the Democrats from making sure that black people get their piece of the action. That never happens. It only goes one way. Oh, we tried, but we couldn't stop the elite from getting what they want. So by dark of night, we're going to have yet another vote to give these guys as much of the national treasury as possible. And Janet Yellen will be sitting there the whole time telling you how this makes sound economic sense. Just like she did when she was chairwoman of the Fed. The times may change, but the lies and the liars remain exactly the same. But both political parties will easily be able to put aside their partisanship, pretend partisanship actually. Because what they're doing is the gridlock in Washington is not some sort of aberration. This is exactly what they want. Because right now, if there's any sort of policy moves, hell, now that you've handed everything over to the 1%, the only policies you can put on the books are to take it all back. So that being the case, we got to have some phony pretend gridlock in Washington, D.C. as we pretend as if, nothing can get done. Yeah, because at this point, any policies would, of a necessity, have to divest the 1% of all their ill-gotten gains. So that being the case, we're just going to have permanent gridlock. And the Dems and Republicans will have no problem reaching across the aisle for that. But right now, Biden has a majority in the Senate. He didn't think that black folks could actually give the Democrats control of the Senate. They were banking on not getting it. That way they would have perfect cover to say, we came so close. We tried, but we couldn't get the Senate, so there's nothing we could do. Because you see, they weren't backing Warnock, not quite the way they were backing Jamie Harrison in North Carolina. See, that being the case, they don't mind having somebody in there as long as it doesn't become a situation that they ultimately can't hide behind. But the Democrats, white supremacy always has some sort of plan B that they can hide behind most of the time. And Biden's plan A would be, we couldn't get control of the Senate. And you know why? It's because all you Negroes out there talking about that defund the police and punish the police. You guys cost us control of the Senate, so you need to stop it with punishing the police. You need to stop demanding that we do that, because clearly that's a policy that costs us elections. They can't tell that lie. So now what's the lie going to be? It's going to be their old standby. The next best thing, which is we're going to blame the blue dog Democrats. You know, the Democrats who basically side with the Republicans on a whole host of issues. They come from Democrats from red states, or purple states, rather. And they're going to say, we could get some stuff done, but these blue dog Democrats, why? They keep breaking for the Republicans all the time. And we got control of the Senate, but the problem is those darn blue dog Democrats. What can you do? So understand the sophistication of the little treadmill that the Democrats have set up for black folks to be on. You got to vote for us every 2 to 4 years. And when you do vote for us, we got to think about the next election. And even if you give us control of the White House, the House, and the Senate, we got to deal with those blue dog Democrats. We don't have total control, don't you know? And even if you gave the Democrats 100% of the seats in the House and the Senate, they would simply have another lie. They would be talking about dark money, or they'd be talking about donors and lobbyists and all the rest of it. Or, these constituencies that the Congress people serve are very complex. America's a very diverse country and very complex politically, and that's why they can't do anything for black people. They can do things for everybody else, just not for black people, because it's so complex, you see. Which they never say to any other group. They didn't tell Asians, it's so complex, you see. There's a whole big machine with a lot of moving parts, and all these parts are just moving against you. They don't do that with everybody else. They only do that with us. They only pull out those lines with us. They only pull out those excuses with us. Well, the excuses are over. You don't have enough phony baloney Zoom calls that you can pull with your hand-picked, carefully vetted black bootlicks to be able to hold us at bay. Or to get us to move on, or to fool us into thinking you've done something when we can clearly see damn well you ain't done nothing. You don't have enough pretend phony political theater to con us.